Look out at the world. Isn't it wonderful? And see all the places we call home. Hand-built hideaways, castles in the clouds, and bungalows with a beach out back.
During the pandemic, governments around the world enforced travel bans, and companies like Airbnb, which are primarily dependent on tourism, faced major losses. Its valuation went from $31 billion to $18 billion in just a year. The company lost 80% of its business and had to lay off 25% of its workforce. For the CEO and the company, the future seemed pretty dark until Steve Jobs came to their rescue. How Airbnb survived the pandemic serves a playbook for turning around your business when you are dealing with a crisis. The Jobsian rules of company management refers to the management style of Steve Jobs. One of his management rules is a company should never work on more than the CEO can focus on. This principle emphasizes the importance of focus and prioritization in the leadership and management of a company. Here are 4 points to consider if you want to explore this concept further. Focus and prioritization. Steve Jobs was known for his laser-like focus on a few key products and initiatives at Apple. He believed that by concentrating on a select few, the company could allocate the necessary resources and attention to make them exceptional. This approach allowed Apple to create groundbreaking products like the iPhone and iPad. Number 2. Avoiding dilution of resources. Working on too many projects simultaneously can lead to resource dilution. When a company spreads its effort too thin, it may not allocate enough time, talent, or funding to any one project, making it difficult to achieve excellence or stand out in the market. Quality over quantity. Jobs was a proponent of producing high-quality, innovative products. By limiting the number of projects a company takes on, it can invest more deeply in research, development, and design, resulting in products that surpass competitors in terms of quality and user experience. Number 4. Maintaining a clear vision. Having the CEO deeply involved in a limited number of projects helps maintain a clear and consistent vision throughout the organization. This can foster alignment among employees and create a sense of purpose and direction. This year, the CEO of Airbnb, Brian Chesky, appeared on This Week in Startups podcast and explained how he used Steve Jobs' management principle. He said Airbnb lost about 80% of its business in just 8 weeks after COVID-19 shutdown. During this time, Brian Chesky reached out to a few people who famously worked closely with Steve Jobs during his time at Apple. People such as John Ive and Hiroki Asai, two executives who led Apple's design and marketing efforts. Together, they created a roadmap to save Airbnb based on a Jobsian rule that a company should never work on more than the CEO can focus on. From there, Brian decided that he's going to do a very few things. He's going to be involved in every single detail, and Airbnb is not going to do anything more than he can personally focus on. In Steve Jobs' biography by Walter Isaacson, it is clearly stated that Jobs believed in the power of in-person conversations and always preferred face-to-face meetings. He told Isaacson that there is a temptation in our networked age to think that ideas can be developed by email and iChat. That's crazy. Creativity comes from spontaneous meetings and from random discussions. Even at Pixar, Jobs made sure that the building was designed to get people out of their offices and interact with others. The front doors and main stairs and corridors all led to the atrium, which housed essentials like a fitness center, cafe, employee mailboxes, and the only set of bathrooms. It was meant to be the heart of headquarters, the place where people ran into each other, talked, and came up with the most inventive ideas. Adopting Jobs' policy of never working on more efforts than CEO can be involved with got every department and part of Airbnb operating on one roadmap. At first, Chesky admitted the process of having himself review nearly every decision the company made slowed progress, and some people questioned whether the CEO meddling in so many different parts of the company was good for business. However, over time, it created a culture of accountability, knowing every decision will be reviewed by someone like himself. However, he raised an important point of caution. I am not there to micromanage, as much as I am there as an orchestra conductor to make sure it plays one cohesive sound. Fast forward to today. Not only did Airbnb survive the crisis, but in June, Airbnb made its debut on the Fortune 500 list of top US public companies by revenue, coming off its first ever profitable year. A lot of the growing companies make similar mistakes. They raise too much money, they hire too many people, they go in too many different directions, they have too many projects, and they defer too much to their team. The founder of photo sharing website Flickr, Stewart Butterfield, has the same opinion. On the Odd Lots podcast, he said, you hire someone and the first thing that person wants to do is hire other people, because the more people who report to you, the higher your prestige, the more your power in the organization, and most people want that. If you ask the people of your startup what do they want and how would they want you to run the company, they will obviously ask you to give them more space and more freedom, but if you do that, you will end up creating various fiefdoms, departments that will find it difficult to coordinate with each other. He further explained that leadership is about presence, not absence. So many leaders are absent because they think that's what people want, because they call that empowerment. And I put the word empowerment in quotes, because if you empower people by leaving them to their own devices, which sounds great when you are an entrepreneur in a large organization, but what you are really doing is letting them manage their own bureaucracy and politics, and that's like Game of Thrones. That's actually not fun. Being involved in the majority of the decisions sounds like an approach that would get in the way of rapid progress. But if you are serious about the sustainability and long-term viability of your business, you must prefer controlled growth over any other kind of growth. In essence, controlled growth reflects the collective wisdom of the business community and is informed by the experiences and lessons learned by countless entrepreneurs and companies over the years. In a startup, it refers to a deliberate and measured approach to scaling the business. Rather than pursuing rapid, unchecked expansion, controlled growth emphasizes maintaining stability, preserving the company's core values, and managing resources carefully as the business expands. Here are 7 key elements and strategies associated with controlled growth in startups in under 2 minutes. Number 1. Sustainable pace. Startups aiming for controlled growth set a sustainable pace for expansion. They avoid aggressive, unsustainable growth rates that can lead to overextension and financial instability. Number 2. They prioritize profitability over sheer revenue growth. They aim to generate sustainable profits to reinvest in the business and ensure long-term viability. Number 3. Customer-centric approach. They prioritize customer satisfaction and retention by focusing on delivering exceptional value to existing customers before aggressively pursuing new markets or customer segments. Number 4. Careful resource allocation. These startups manage their resources, including capital, talent, and time, judiciously. They avoid excessive spending and invest in areas that contribute directly to growth and sustainability. Number 5. Profitable customer acquisition. Rather than chasing a large user base at any cost, a startup should focus on acquiring customers who are likely to be profitable in the long run. Number 6. Strategic partnerships. Startups must explore strategic partnerships that can help them expand without overextending their resources. Partnerships can provide access to new markets or complementary resources for free. And finally, startups aiming for sustainable growth must maintain a clear long-term vision for the company and make decisions that align with that vision. They must avoid short-term opportunistic moves that may jeopardize their core objectives. Overall, controlled growth in a startup is about finding a balance between expansion and stability. It involves strategic planning, careful execution, and a focus on building a sustainable and resilient business that can thrive in the long term. This approach may lead to slower initial growth but can result in greater overall success and longevity. Want to know how to build a startup from scratch or turn your startup into a big successful company? Watch episode number 11 of the Wisdom Podcast. It is based on Peter Thiel's best-selling business book, 0 to 1.